Particularly in the hot sun, the community probably came together. Archaeologists guess it was an intensely shared world based on giving rather than individual wealth. We know nothing about their social structure. In modern hunter-gatherers, this is often extremely complex, regulating small groups that relied on each other with almost no privacy. But we do know these bands met together as part of a larger culture. They traded or shared prized materials which helped to maintain a network of extended kin. This trade kept the wider Natufian culture together. It enabled their tools to travel throughout the region. They were experimenting with the beginnings of commerce. What's more, they swapped ideas, new tools, new decorations, and foods. But these meetings between clans had an even more fundamental purpose. Biological survival demanded they bring back new blood to the settlement. With permanent buildings, the Natufian world was changing. Increasingly, they must have thought of themselves as coming from this valley and this cluster of huts. Their rituals and beliefs are gone, with hardly a trace of evidence. But we know they had a ceremony. They dug a hole in the floor under the fireplace. And there, they buried the dead. They made it a sacred place. They brought in a huge river stone and placed it in the grave, on top of the body. The grieving family added the kind of objects found in so many graves, the poignant treasures of daily life. These graves are found across the Natufian world. The dead are all less than 50 years old, and they died of injuries.
Our young person had suffered a number of injuries in his life, some of which he'd got over, some of which he finally couldn't. And they included this massive bone growth on the middle of the tibia or main lower leg bone, which had come about because of a huge tear in the muscle that attaches to the foot. And that would have left him with an extremely painful leg injury. But that healed, and a bone growth grew around the tendon attachment on the mid-lower leg, and he was able to get over that. He also suffered a number of fractures to the skull, one which appears to have healed, one which didn't, which is probably what killed him. And finally, when the young person was buried, a large rock was deliberately placed over the chest and the pit back filled.
With the dead buried under the foundations, the huts took on a new meaning. They repaired them regularly. In these safe places, individual possessions could be secure. Here, people could make and keep ornaments and other personal possessions. They made beautiful necklaces of shell and carved teeth. This stone carving is an animal with long horns. A small human figure made with a sense of humour. This bone animal, blackened with age, is a prancing gazelle. The Natufian way of life continued for 2,500 years. Then suddenly, in less than 10 years, it all came to an end. The glaciers returned to Europe, trapping the Earth's fresh water in ice. The rest of the world became colder and drier. Scientists call this short ice age the Younger Dryas. In the Middle East, there was a vast drought. A great famine spread over the land. It was an environmental catastrophe.
In this period, the Younger Dryas, which is cold and dry, the Natufian were forced to make a change. They were forced to make a change because the environment changed, and as a result of the depletion of resources, the number of animals decreased, and the yields, the annual yields of the wild fields decreased as well. Under these circumstances, you have to change.
The Natufians were forced to abandon their settlements forever. Clans splintered into small groups, ranging desperately, nomadically, for food. Many perished.
It might have been like a sustained series of the worst droughts. The wild plant foods that these people relied upon just really weren't there anymore, and that it may have forced people back into a more mobile way of life, whereby they had to shift with the resources. And it seems to have broken up this period or this phase of formative villages in the Jordan Valley flanks and across the Galilee and into the Mount Carmel area.
Then the Natufians were offered one slim chance of survival. The drying Great Lake in Jordan exposed a fertile plain. It was here, on the shores of today's Lake Galilee, that a few Natufian refugees attempted to survive. Water, high in the hills, fed just a handful of natural springs that kept this new land moist and fertile. Now, the Natufians faced a profound challenge. They had abundant water, but these oases were very different from the rangelands and spaces they knew.